Good to see everybody. It's nice to be home. I feel like I haven't been here in a long time. I'm Judge David Spurgeon. It's like surgeon with a P. That's why I went to law school, not medical school, because the other doctors would have made fun of me. I'd have been Surgeon Spurgeon, so I had to go to law school. But I'm one of your 4 candidates for the statewide appellate courts, and I'm here representing the slate of 4 because they are in different places across the state representing me today as well. So I'm one of the candidates for Commonwealth Court. And I know Lisa talked about it briefly. Well, first of all, let me just talk to you about these 9 candidates you guys have, okay? Let me just tell you how amazing they are. I can literally look around the room and I see Tiffany, who appears in front of me all the time and kicks butt and makes me stay on my toes, doing a great job. Lisa and I have tried more cases together than we could ever remember when I was a DA, and we had fun, and we did our job, and we did justice together, and that was something that was important. I appeared in front of Rena Watson as a brand new DA when she was in the magistrate's court in the city of Pittsburgh. I see my friend Judicial, who was a public defender when I was a DA, besides a friend. I see my friend Sabrina Corbell, who literally, she and I have spent more time trying to end domestic violence in Allegheny County than I think that we ever should have been together in life, but trying to do that. But so these amazing group of candidates, as well as the others, are just great, and I love that I can consider every single one of you guys my friends. And I thank you for speaking on my behalf when I'm not around. And I know that you have, because people have told me that you have. So that means the world to me as well, that you're speaking for me. So I am a trial judge in Allegheny County. I've been on the bench for the last 5 years. I was appointed by Governor Wolf in 2016, and then I had a run in 2017. I've been in the family division for those 5 years because I've chosen to stay in the family division for those 5 years. I spent almost 20 years in the criminal division, and I thought I can make an impact in the family division, which is what I did. And I had such a good role in my judicial leadership there that I was named a National Judicial Fellow across the country for my work in domestic violence, trying to make Allegheny County a better place, a safer place for women and children and others that participate in domestic violence. I'm very, very proud of that. But, you know, I sat on my hands for about 5 years, for the last 4 years during the previous administration. And as a judge, I wasn't allowed to be political. And I thought I might have an aneurysm because it was very hard not to say one word about the status of our government on the federal level, right? So I was losing my mind. I'm gonna be honest with you, I may or may not have cracked a cell phone screen during that process, throwing it. But then a couple other things happened. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And I thought to myself, oh no, another Supreme Court appointee. And I was talking to some friends and they said, listen, they're gonna stop going to the Supreme Court, they're gonna start going to the state courts because they still have a hope in the state courts. And I said, stop complaining, get up off your butt and run statewide. So that's what I decided to do. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna run statewide, I'm gonna run for Commonwealth Court. And if you ever have a question on how important Commonwealth Court is, you talk to my friend Senator Lindsey Williams, and she'll tell you how important that court is. That court's job is to make sure that the government follows the law. And we're fortunate right now that we have a Democratic executive in there, but we do not have a Democratic legislature. And the court that I'm running for, and one of the reasons I ran for it, worked in the Pennsylvania Senate for 3 years and have done a lot of different things with various government regulations. But one of the reasons that I ran is because that court has 9 judges. It's the only court like it in the nation. No other state has a court like that. And of those 9 judges, 7 are Republican and 2 Democrats. And my own state senator, Jimmy Brewster, near and dear to my heart, who I grew up with and I consider a dear friend, lost in the Commonwealth Court. He won in the Court of Common Pleas over the elections, whether or not votes should be counted. And he called me and he said, I won in Common Pleas Court. I think I'm gonna do pretty good in Commonwealth Court. What do you think? And I said, well, Jim, you don't need to call a lawyer. You need to call your daughter who teaches 3rd grade math and ask her about the numbers of 7 and 2. And you tell me how you're gonna do. Well, he lost in the Commonwealth Court. Ultimately, he won in the Supreme Court, the votes were counted. But 94% of all cases die in the Commonwealth Court, meaning the Supreme Court doesn't take them. So that's why that court was so important to me. That's why I decided to run. I'm the only candidate from the West. I'm the only person that made it through. When I ran for the Court of Common Pleas, I became the first candidate to be elected out of the Mon Valley and the only judge in 30 years to serve on the bench. And now I will be the only candidate, hopefully, from the West being seated. I'm talking about on either parties. So it's important that we have that diversity. We have different people's perspective. And when you're making a decision about what happens in West Deer, you actually know somebody who's been to West Deer, right? Because that's what matters. And so we need to elect these 4 judges for the statewide appellate courts. All 4 seats are open. Do you care about gerrymandering? Yes. Goes to the Commonwealth Court. Do you care about election integrity? Yes. Goes to the Commonwealth Court. Do you care how funding is distributed for every child in Pennsylvania for education? Yes. Commonwealth Court decides that. Do you think people deserve health insurance? Yes. Goes to Commonwealth Court. When I say these are life decisions, and someone, I think it may have been Lisa, mentioned the environment, I grew up in the Mon Valley. The worst air is out of the Clairton Coke Works. That's the worst air in the county. That's the air that I breathe, because I still live in the Mon Valley. But that's who decides whether or not that air is good when someone files a lawsuit, is a Commonwealth Court. This court impacts Pennsylvanians every single day without you actually being a litigant in these cases, because they're making decisions that government agencies are deciding. And right now it's a good thing, because as I said, we have a Democratic executive, right? So it's a good thing because there are regulations hopefully Democrats are putting out there. But what's gonna happen in a couple of years? So I'm telling you why these judges' races are so important. And I'm thanking these guys for out there still pounding the pavement, because we get elected because Court of Common Pleas in every county are out there working hard to get Democrats elected. That's how we get elected. If Allegheny County doesn't show up, guess who is showing up? Tioga County, Wyoming County, all the counties that are red are showing up. That's what's gonna happen. 20,000 more Republicans showed up in the primary than Democrats statewide. Not in Allegheny County, but statewide. That's what we're competing against. All 4 of these seats are red. We can flip them all blue. If we elect Maria McLaughlin to the Supreme Court, we will, in the first time in the oldest court in history, have a majority of women on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And if we elect Tamika Lane, who's a judge out of Philadelphia, to the Superior Court, we will flip that court from Republican to Democrat, right? And if you elect me and Lori Dumas from Philadelphia, who's the other Democratic nominee to the Commonwealth Court, we will change that number from 7-2 to 5-4. And guess what else happens with that? You give a Democrat to Mike Wojcik, who's in Pittsburgh serving on the Commonwealth Court, and you give a Democrat to Ellen Seisler at the Philadelphia. So she's the lone Democrat out of Philadelphia, Mike Wojcik's the lone Democrat out of Pittsburgh, and you give 2 more. We sit in panels of 3. Guess what happens? We can get a majority on cases for the first time in a very, very long time. So when you're talking to people, when they say, oh, I don't know who to vote for statewide, or I don't know who to vote for, you have to get out and vote. We have to get Democrats to show up, because when Democrats show up, Democrats win. That's the best part, because we have a voter registration advantage in Pennsylvania. If we can get people to show up, we can win. And the important part of that is that we can put people out there. I'm proud to be the only highly recommended candidate for Commonwealth Court. And I'm proud of that for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm a kid from the McKeesport area school district. That's where I graduated from. I went to a public school, I got a public education, and I ended up being the highest recommended person across the state. That says that government can work if we make sure that government works and we hold its feet to the fire. And by you electing 4 Democratic judges statewide, we will hold people's feet to the fire, and we will make sure that every single person, regardless of what you look like, who you love, what zip code you come from, are Pennsylvanians. And you will matter, and you will have a voice, and you will be heard. In the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County, through every court, the whole way up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So let's get out, and let's elect Democrats.